Hello guys, and welcome to another Stacey Scribbles video. Today I'm going to be talking about the 6 main things that I've accepted and that have completely altered how I approach first drafts, made them easier, faster and much more enjoyable to work on. So let's get started. So you're working on the first draft of a book and you have been for a long while. You could be at any stage with it, planning, mid-draft, second rewrite, 15th rewrite, or maybe just this stage. Nope, 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 nope. The question is whether it's finished or not. If not, why not? Well, this reason is going to be different for every writer because of the basic fact that life gets in the way. Only you know the reasons why your first draft isn't finished, and if your reasons, like mine used to, just come down to you and how you're approaching writing, hopefully this video will be of some help. So first drafts for me have never been an easy thing, even with short stories. With my first fantasy novel, I wrote 70 or 1,000 so words and never finished. And then for my novella, it took me years of revisions, changes, constant rewrites. And so that I ended up spending 5 years writing 44,000 words. Though now it's a totally different story. I managed to write a 75,000 word novel draft in 8 weeks and a 38,000 word novella draft in 17 days for Camp Nano this year in 2019 in July. So we're going to talk about how I did that, and in the hopes that at least one of the 6 coming tips can be of help to you. Writing a book is a little bit like making a cake. Stay with me on this. If planning or idea creation is gathering all your ingredients together, seeing what you have, listing what you need, and just measuring them all out. So what's draft 1? Draft 1 is just putting all those ingredients together in the same bowl. That's literally it. It's not about mixing, baking, decorating. It's just plopping them all together in one bowl. Are you going to seriously tell me that you expect to get a perfect cake from doing just that and nothing else? Nope, I hope not. So why do we weigh ourselves down with that expectation with our first drafts? The advice in this video is based on the realizations that were a key part of me achieving much faster, smoother first drafts and bringing the fun back into writing. They're just suggestions and they may not work for all of you, but let's get to it. So the first one, and it's something that I used to hear all the time and took me a long time to truly accept it because I just thought it was a bit of a cliche, is stop expecting perfection and embrace the bad first draft. This has turned out to be a really important one for me, and it will be difficult for all you perfectionists out there. A couple of years back, I had this expectation that my writing had to be amazing the first time round. The truth, it really doesn't. It just has to be on a page. You can improve something that you've written, but you can't edit an empty document, and all these sayings are really well known and well used, but for me, they've actually turned out to be very true. The first draft is the point where you get to experiment, you get to have fun, and where you just get to tell yourself the story. So if you can try and embrace it and focus on quantity over quality first, get the words down and remember that you have all the time and space that you need to improve them later. The key thing that really hit home for me is that your first draft is not your only chance to get it right, and realizing that had a massive impact on me. So getting it right is going to come bit by bit and draft by draft. Point number 2, A, put your inner editor in a box and lock it really tight. So your inner editor is going to have their time to shine, but the first draft really isn't the place to give them any power. Your inner editor probably sounds something like this. You could write that a bit better. You know, it'd be a lot more effective if you did this. No one's going to believe your character if you don't add this in. Shut up. and they mean really well, but during draft 1, they belong in that soundproof box in your head so that you can write without being constantly nagged by it. So even if you have to shout it out loud to yourself, if something starts to bother you or you think you need to rewrite something, just shout, "I'll fix it later," and keep yourself going. Point B is don't start rewriting. You can always make a note of anything that comes to mind that you'd like to change in a future draft. Make a note and just move on. You know, if the note is for a major change and that's concerning you, you can just continue to write it as though you've made that change and then rewrite the parts before it during edits. The main goal of your first draft should really just be to get it done. There shouldn't be any other expectations on yourself other than that. So one phrase I came up with that I do throw about sometimes that helps describe my outlook on this now is that trying to edit a first draft before you're finished is a bit like trying to map a crop circle without an aerial view. So don't make things harder for yourself and just wait for the aerial view. Wait for when you're done. Number 3, don't ask anyone to critique or read any part of your first draft. This one is a bit of a tough one because it can be really exciting to pass chapters on or sections to people who have showed enthusiasm and want to read your work, especially in the early stages. And I used to be fine with doing that, but now it's something that I really suggest against. And the reason is that if you're drafting and someone offers to read, they're basically popping over your shoulder and they could say anything like this: "I'd like that character a lot better if they were more opinionated. The magic system isn't clearly explained. I really didn't have a connection with the setting." And it's going to have the same effect as your inner editor might have. It's going to make you feel like you need to clean out the bowl, start over again, and just do what they suggested because to you at the time it just sounds better. So this is why now first drafts are something that's really personal, something that's just for me, and I never show it to anyone apart from occasionally sharing a couple of paragraphs on the online writing community. We always say about other people that we shouldn't judge someone before we know them, so why do we judge stories that we don't truly know ourselves? Because your story could be totally different at the end of draft 1, so just see where it goes and judge it later. Let it grow on the page and just address it all when you know exactly what you're working with. Number 4. I found this one pretty difficult because I am a planner, and number 4 is don't get caught up on having everything 100% set in stone before you begin, because it is guaranteed, almost guaranteed, to change in some way or another between edits, feedback from readers during drafting. And you know, this includes stuff like not lingering on finding that perfect starting point, because I've spoken with a lot of writers who have a story all laid out and they just don't know where to begin and they just totally freeze up. And this ties in a little bit to fear of the blank page and a little bit of, oh, what if I start in the wrong place? The answer to that is, so what if you do? It's draft number 1. It doesn't matter. You can change the starting point once, twice, numerous times. You can change anything about the story during edits and during drafting. So you've just got to pick a spot, take a deep breath, and take the plunge. And you can play about with things further down the line. You could even practice writing openings at different points while you're editing and see if there are some that fit better than the one you've chosen, which kind of leads into my next point, which is kind of part of the same point but a little different. The same kind of goes for not needing to know every single thing about your story at the beginning, because that's how a lot of people get stuck in that cycle of just constantly world building because they feel like they don't know enough about their world yet. But use placeholders if you need to. You can use them for titles, character names, locations, entire scenes. You know, just use the placeholders and fill in the information later. So yeah, I guess that's right. I guess someone like me who writes in a very linear way is actually suggesting that you don't have to write in order, and you don't. You can write scenes in whatever order you want. If you've got a scene you're really excited about, go and write it and come back to the other bits later. Fill in the gaps, allow yourself that flexibility. So be safe in the knowledge that at this point there's no wrong place to start, and there's no dire need for 100% watertight stories at this early stage. Point number 5 is explore and have some fun, because the first draft isn't something to be put off or hidden from. It's something to be welcomed as a bit of almost like recreation, I guess. It's the draft where you get to experiment the most and explore and try all sorts of different things for your story. For me, the drafts after the first one are the ones that always become a lot more serious, because that's when you get into the detail and the mixing and the decorating for that cake we keep mentioning. But there's something really satisfying about the first draft, because you're just dropping everything together to make a good basis before you then actually combine them all to make a solid thing. So throw caution to the wind a little bit and use the first draft as your personal playtime as a writer. I actually lost a lot of love for writing for a short time, because I was getting so wrapped up in all these rules that people were telling me about, the shoulds and the shouldn'ts, and just the worrying about my ideas in general and what people thought of them. But I'm really happy that now I enjoy writing again, and the key to that has just been shoving all my worries aside in the early stages and connecting with the story that I want to see on the page. Point number 6, and this is a general point that you can use throughout all of your projects: give yourself the little victories and be kind to yourself. It's a super important thing in writing, which is a craft that is completely dependent on your determination, willpower, motivation to reward yourself throughout the writing process. Did you write an extra few hundred words today? Did you hit your weekly goals? Get another chapter finished? Did you take a break because you knew you needed one? Tell yourself well done in a sincere way, because if you keep thinking that you don't deserve to celebrate until the draft or the book as a whole is done, or that taking breaks from writing is wrong, you're going to put a damper on your own drive to write, and you're not going to feel like you're achieving anything. So getting involved in writing communities and practicing accountability can actually help a lot with that. Maybe you can get a friend as an accountability partner, someone who you can tell when you reach certain goals, and get a little bit of encouragement if you struggle to give it to yourself. This was a really difficult one for me, and it still is a little bit, but I am trying my best to be kinder to myself, and it has made a massive difference. You can actually, if you want, you can use my videos as accountability trackers. I would love to see you guys doing that. Each video, feel free to drop your current word count in the comments, and then on the next video, tell me your old and your new word counts, and so we can see how much you've got done. Just remember to look after yourselves and give yourself that little pat on the back sometimes. It will make a big difference to you guys. Just remember that making any progress at all is a very good thing. So, a quick recap. 1. Wave goodbye to the idea of perfection. 2. Lock your inner editor in a box until you're completely finished with draft 1. Number 3. Resist showing your work to other people or asking for critique on an incomplete first draft. 4. Don't think that everything needs to be set in stone before you begin. Number 5. Explore and actually have some fun. And number 6. Celebrate the little victories and be kind to yourselves. In 2020, I would love to work with all of you to see as many of you as possible complete a first draft, or maybe more than one, who knows? So please keep me up to date on your progress in the comments section, and feel free to share your other achievements as well. I'd love to hear about them, and maybe even do some shout outs for those of you who do finish first drafts or post other writing achievements on the channel next year. My next video is going to be released on December 29th in 2 weeks time, and it's going to be talking about why 2020 is the year that you should stop comparing yourselves to writers in negative ways, and why you might even not know you're doing it. So if you don't want to miss that, please click subscribe and the notification bell, and because I'm also going to be releasing an extra video on New Year's Eve talking about writing goals, how to choose them realistically, what mine were for this year, whether I met them, and what my goals are going to be for next time. So have an amazing Christmas, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye guys!